I met a gypsy.
So again, I think you need to have that mindset of regardless, the success will come, and you really only need what you need. And so away you go.
Was it crazy for a point though when the titles start rolling in, you're living in Monaco and you're around all these people, like, and you were in the era before the internet and before social media and before, like, you could operate in secret in a sense, you know what I mean? Like, not every party that you'd be at, there'd be someone with a smartphone that'd be recording you. And like, I could imagine, because that's one thing Casey talked about, like, he got into the sport at the end of like your era, and then when he got into it came the crazy TV and the internet and the more media side of things, like, really exploded to where, you know, he wasn't in that same position. But it seems like your era of, you know, the mid 90s, and you see it with like Jeremy McGrath and all of those kind of eras, it was like that seemed like the one to be in a way.
Yeah, the media presence was always huge, but yeah, it was all print media.
Yep.
Essentially, so a lot of things were always 2 weeks out of date or whatever, because the internet, there was the internet was sort of slowly around, and but it wasn't to the point of what it is now, and then all the publications being online and all this type of thing, and there certainly wasn't. The digital cameras were coming out at that time, but I mean, they were still a camera. They weren't part of a telephone and all this type of thing. So. So it did afford you a little bit more luxury, but I mean, it didn't. You didn't do much. You still had to be wary of what you were doing, because if you kick your toe somewhere and left a lot of blood, then it was going to be talked about. So you needed. But that said, at the end of the day, really. I think the guys at the front of the show anyway were always sort of fairly dedicated and committed to what they were doing. So there wasn't, there'd be a bit of fun and this and that all around the edges. But I think the 70s may have been the Barry Sheen era, and that type of thing might have been a little bit different. And then, so when I got in, it changed from when I got in to when I left, and then it would have been the same from Casey to when he left. But, when more professional, the sponsors changed the way that everything wanted to be perceived and whatever else, whereas it was still pretty much, when I got in '89 to the World Championship thing, it was still, it was fairly basic, although it was a big show, bigger than anything I'd ever seen before, and only Formula One, which was something similar. But, Sunday night there'd always be a party in somebody's motorhome, everyone together and having a bit of a laugh, and there was a bit more sort of social aspect to it. But as the years went on, it was just in and out of the races, and there was none of this. And then likewise today, there's you go to the paddock and you don't really see anyone any longer. But it was like that almost at the end of my riders that go from the motorhomes or the hospitality straight to the. So there was less mingling around and whatever else, and it's just. I think the sport just evolves, and as you say, the social media side of things and just the instant access to everything at the moment's changed the dynamics of the whole sport. But living in and around Monaco, I moved straight to Monaco when I went to Europe, and so really it didn't. I just thought it was an old person's retirement village when we first got there, but it was fairly centrally located, which was perfect. And so I was driving a lot of the places back then, and a lot of the races and so on, and come back there and had the motorhome. So, but you'd meet a lot of other races and sports people, and met some business types from Australia and so on. So you'd meet a few different people there. But again, I wasn't really thinking about who they are, what they're doing. Yeah. It's just, I'm doing my own thing, and you get to meet a few people along the way. But certainly I've been blown away by some of the people, as I'm sure a lot of others have. But you meet people that wow, Jesus, such and such, and I'm just met with him, and so sport opens a lot of doors in all aspects of life, and because everyone loves sport, it breaks down demographics big time. So a lot of people who I'd want to meet me, and vice versa, or and especially and even today, because a lot of people who are young are now in positions, and they remember the sports back in those days. So if anything, sometimes it's easier to open a door now than it was 20 years ago.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.